Plenty of games coming up on Sunday. There are only 3 of them left in the regular season. Stats, take us through the list.
We're actually starting on Saturday, Mike. Houston at the Jets. Chris, is this the start of a new winning streak for the Texans?
I do expect it to be a new winning streak for the Texans. I expect them to win this football game. I don't think it'll be necessarily easy. I'll say that much. I do think that Houston's defense is going to give the Jets a hard time moving the ball, but I think the other way around, too. I think the Jets defense and Todd Bowles, he's pretty good at breaking down offenses. Houston can be a little simple in the pass game when their run game doesn't work. I think Houston wins, but kind of like a 24-13 type game where it was 17-13 in the fourth and the Texans put them away late.
This is going to be a common theme for me the last few weeks of the season as it relates to teams that are not in the playoff hunt. Where does their motivation come from?
Right.
Will guys be making business decisions during the game? Will guys who otherwise could have played not played because of injuries that they don't want to make worse going into the offseason? And when you have a coach in Todd Bowles who is presumptively out the door, does the locker room rally? Do they check out? A lot of that stuff you just can't tell until it's time to play the game. That's why I think the Texans, who have far more to play for, find a way to pull it together and pull off the victory. And if they can't, maybe they shouldn't be in the playoff conversation.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I expect them to do it too, but I do think the Jets will give a spirited effort and give them a tough time.
Baker and the Browns are going to Denver. Mike, what's more likely? The Broncos get torched by Baker Mayfield or the Denver defense just shuts them down?
I think it's more likely that they get torched by Baker Mayfield. There's something special about Mayfield, and the Browns, even though they're not realistically in the playoff hunt, although there's a path that's not all that crazy for them to potentially sneak in. This is about laying the foundation for what we're going to see next year. And we saw Baker Mayfield's debut in primetime on a Thursday night back in September. This is another chance to play at night, even though it's not a national broadcast. It's, 3-letter network. It's still NFL Network at night. I think Mayfield's going to bring it. The Browns are going to bring it. And I think that because the Broncos lost last week, they realize it's not going to happen for them this year. I think the Browns, I'm sure it's an upset, but I like the Browns, and I like what Mayfield's going to do, Chris.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they won. I mean, if you're going to make me pick, I'm going to go the Broncos in a close one because I do think Denver at home is a tough place to play. That crowd noise, and once Von Miller and Bradley Chubb just get that little advantage of jumping off the ball there, they are tough to beat. But I think that the Browns and Baker Mayfield, like you, will have some success moving the ball. I just think Case Keenum and them will move the ball as well on the Cleveland defense. But, the one thing we've seen that the Broncos have struggled with, teams that can run the ball and do effective play actions off of that. Stats, you saw the 49ers expose the Broncos with that last week.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. I know you like that. Nick Chubb is phenomenal, and Freddie Kitchens has done a great job staying patient with the run and designing great play action passes off of it for Baker Mayfield. And we know he can sling that ball all over the field. Broncos win a close one in my eyes, like 23-20, because they're home.
The Packers of Green Bay go to Chicago, Chris. Are we going to see Aaron Rodgers light up that Bears D like we did in week 1, or are the Bears going to shut him down like they did against the Rams last week?
Yeah, there's always the Aaron Rodgers effect that scares me, but I would err more on Bears shutting down the Packers. I didn't see anything new from that Packers offense last week. It's still the same old crappy scheme, and it's all about Aaron Rodgers scrambling or Aaron Rodgers throwing unbelievable one-on-one throws. He was leading his team in rushing for the better part of the game until the game finally got in hand and they broke a few runs late in the fourth quarter with Aaron Jones. This Bears defense is special. They're at home. They realize the Packers have gotten the best of them over the last few years. I think the Bears win like a 27-17 game, Stats.
And look, here's the thing. The Packers really do have a chance to get to the postseason.
Yeah.
That the help they need isn't all that complicated. The hardest part is for a team that has been 0-6 on the road all year to go to Chicago and win. If they could somehow pull this off, they really have a plausible shot at the postseason. And I'm kind of rooting for it, not just because the Packers were my preseason Super Bowl pick and I want them to be alive as long as possible. I kind of like the idea of the Packers conducting head coaching interviews the same week they're getting ready for a playoff game with their interim head coach. There's just something that is just fabulously chaotic and awkward about that. But But, yeah, I think the Bears know. Dan, I say this all the time. You don't want a team from your own division in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is a chance for the Bears to deliver a knockout blow to the Packers, and they still haven't won the division yet, and they still haven't locked in as the 3 seed, so they have something to play for. But if you can get the Packers out of the mix, you don't have to worry about them showing up at Soldier Field in the playoffs like they did back in 2010 with a Super Bowl berth on the line. Get rid of them now so you don't have to worry about them later.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with you there.
The Cowboys are going to Indy to take on the Colts. Mike, which Dak shows up? The guy that was awesome in the fourth quarter and overtime, or the guy that really stunk for the first 3 quarters last week?
Well, I don't know, but here's the reality. As the Cowboys win more games, that must-win vibe necessarily goes away. And they're at a point now, they're kind of settled in as the 4 seed. They're going to win the division. They're playing a Colts team that is far more desperate. And, Chris, you look at the 5 wins the Cowboys have strung together. Not a single one was dominant. I mean, they had dominant physicality,
right,
but the score wasn't. They were all close games. Right. They all could have gone either way. And in this spot, as you start to maybe ease off the gas a little bit, as you collect yourself for the postseason, I could see the Colts finding a way to win this, regardless of how Dak Prescott plays. I think the Colts have the talent. They've got the offensive line. They've got the quarterback play. They've got the home field advantage, and they've got the incentive. And I throw it all together, and I say this is where the Cowboys' winning streak ends.
Okay, all right. You like the Colts. That's a good one. I mean, it's a tough game here. First of all, I'm going to err on we're going to see the good Dak Prescott, because even the Prescott you're talking about that stunk in 3 quarters last week stats, and I understand why you're saying that, because he threw 2 big interceptions that really, made the game close, and it shouldn't be. I was very encouraged by what I saw other than those 2 plays, right? I mean, he really has thrown the ball pretty well. He's made a lot of good decisions, and we know he's hit Amari Cooper on a lot of big plays. A lot of the things Mike said scare me for Dallas. I mean, yes, I expect the Colts to be able to protect a little bit against this Dallas great front 4, but do the Colts have enough weapons other than T.Y. Hilton in this matchup to consistently move the ball? That was the thing I would question, because, man, this Dallas defense is the real deal. They do play a lot of close games, which is scary, like you said, Mike, but that's just the style of play. I'm taking the Cowboys in a close one. I just think they're a little too talented across the board for the Colts right now. Dangerous always with Andrew Luck at home, but I can't remember I'm taking Cowboys 24-21 in this one.
Miami, fresh off that emotional win, Chris, goes to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Are the Dolphins due for a letdown?
Yeah, I mean, they're still fighting for something, so I don't expect it to be a letdown. I think it's going to be tough sledding, though, for them up there in Minnesota with that defense. I don't expect them to have a whole lot of success on that side of the football. Now, really, the big question of this matchup is, what do we expect from the Minnesota offense versus the Dolphins defense? Because I don't know what kind of scheme, Minnesota's going to run. What's the new offense going to look like? I think this game kind of stays close for a little while, because Minnesota's offense, I'm not going to, I got to see it to believe it, to say they can just blow a team out like that. But I'm still going to pick Minnesota at home, because it's a tough place to play, and that defense is the real deal. I'm going to go like a close 23-14 type victory for the Vikings at home.
One of the realities of having a win like the Dolphins had last week, you have to reset quickly. The Vikings went through that last year after they beat the Saints in the playoffs, and after getting blown out by the Eagles, Mike Zimmer, the coach of the Vikings, acknowledged maybe we didn't put it behind us as quickly as we needed to get focused on what was next, and that could be an issue for the Dolphins. But for the Vikings, offense is in disarray. Kevin Stefanski takes over as the coordinator. He's been with the team since 2006, so he's seen some good, he's seen a lot of bad, and now we see what kind of a play caller he's going to be. And that's the key. And this guy, I assume, is going to do what Mike Zimmer wants him to do. And that was John DeFilippo's fatal flaw. He wasn't listening to his boss, and his boss had to call him out publicly to finally get what he wanted. He never got what he wanted, so he has a new coordinator. So that's going to be, I think, a real challenge. Can Kevin Stefanski do what Zimmer wants, and will it work? We don't know that it'll work because they haven't done it yet.
That's right. Yeah, we don't. I mean, he learned a little under Norv Turner and, of course, Pat Shurmur, so you would think he'd have some of those old-school run plays that Mike Zimmer likes. Next one. Go ahead, Stats. Keep railing them off here.
Titans at Giants, Mike. Considering what we saw from these running backs last week, is anybody going to throw a pass in this game?
I think the bigger question here, can the Titans put together the kind of consistency they haven't shown us all year? They've won 2 games in a row. They've had extra time to get ready for this one, and they are walking into the proverbial hornet's nest in New York because the Giants, they haven't gotten the memo that it's in their best interest to lose. They are not giving up. I respect what they're doing, and they still have a very long shot, but they're not dead yet for a playoff berth. This is about the kind of consistency that the Titans are going to need to show if they have any chance at making it to the playoffs. And, you know, what hurt them last week is other 6-6 teams in the AFC won, and it's going to be very hard for them to get in. But I think they got to lay the foundation for next year by showing that they can get a winning streak together and find a way to be the better version of the Titans more often than not.
Yeah, they're one of the hardest teams to figure out in the NFL this year for me. I mean, you just don't know what to expect. Their defense has great games, and they get blown out. You know, their offense has moments of going, whoa, look at the explosive nature of these players, and Mariota's on fire, and then they have games where they're less than, and you go, they can't complete a pass, they can't do anything. I don't know what the status is of Odell Beckham Jr. It sounds like he's not going to be 100% even if he does play. And that seems...
He had a quote yesterday about his injury that we cannot use.
He said that
on an
crap
FCC
ain't
regulated.
right, but he used another word, right. But his quad ain't right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being very subtle and nuanced in your description of what went down.
Thank you. You know me. I'm subtle with those words.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm going to pick the Titans to win a close one, is what I'm going to say, just because they are still playing for something. Their defense usually doesn't let up too many touchdowns, so I'm going Titans 23-21. Sorry.
Picking against Phil's team, you're going to have some explaining to do. Lamar Jackson will get his first start with Joe Flacco healthy and active. So Lamar Jackson, the starting quarterback moving forward for the Baltimore Ravens. Chris Simms, they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are essentially done. They have a potentially potent offense, but I don't think the Bucs have seen a defense like the Ravens.
Right.
Do you think that the Ravens are doing the right thing by entrusting the offense to Lamar Jackson with Joe Flacco healthy?
Yeah, completely. I do. This is the style of play their team's built on. I mean, they're not, the greatest show on turf, and I never turned on the Ravens to go, oh, let me watch Joe Flacco and company throw for 400 yards all over the field. No, this plays to the strength of their offense, which is their O-line. It's big. It's overpowering. They want to control the clock, play their defense off that, right, Mike? They just want to beat you up physically. I think that's where it makes more sense for Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I think the Joe Flacco era is definitely over, and I'm with you. I expect the Bucs to make a few plays in the pass game because they're dangerous, but have a hard time seeing them consistently moving the ball on Baltimore, in Baltimore, which is a tough place to play. So I like the Ravens in this one.
And the Ravens were lifted by their near miss against the Chiefs. They come out of it with confidence. They think they can leapfrog the Steelers to win the AFC North. So they're at home. I don't see a lapse. And Lamar Jackson brings an excitement. My big concern with Lamar Jackson, though, can he stay healthy?
Right.
And I say that about all quarterbacks who play with physicality. Carson Wentz, anybody who's running the ball. Can you keep yourself healthy? Can you avoid taking those hits? That's the challenge for Lamar Jackson, or it will be back to Joe Flacco before the season ends. Seattle and San Francisco getting together. The Seahawks have owned that series for years now, and the Seahawks, the folks in Vegas, I think they're trying to set somebody up. They know something that people don't because it's a very small margin. I mean, I see the Seahawks doing more of what they did when they blew out the 49ers 43-16 earlier this year.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I'll say this. If you went back and watched the game, you'd go, oh, wait, it was a little closer than I remember for some reason. The 49ers really messed up some situation stats. Maybe he can remember. But you had Wilson who fumbled inside the 10-yard line when they were going in to score. They threw the 98-yard pick six interception where they were going in to score. There was a fumbled punt at one time as well. So there was the 49ers moved the ball on the Seahawks is basically what I'm saying. And I think that's why you're seeing probably a close point spread. I think the Seahawks win this game ultimately because they are playing for something and they have Russell Wilson, and the 49ers usually find ways to mess up a game somehow, some way. But I do think this will be dangerous and it'll be close. Like, I think the Seahawks win this one like 24-20, Mike, something like that.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the
feel like
Seahawks
blowout?
continue to get. I feel they get better and better and better, and I think they like to prove points. They like to settle scores. They can stick it to Richard Sherman. There was some chatter this week by Frank Clark, the Seahawks defensive lineman, regarding Sherman calling the Seahawks a middle-of-the-road team. I just think the Seahawks have slipped into a very special and rare vibe where they're going to take on all comers. They're going to do everything they can to kick your butts. They don't care that they're not going to be any better than the 5 seed. They are motivated to win and win. That's what fascinates me about next week's game against the Chiefs. They're going to be motivated to beat everybody who they encounter. All right, Patriots and Steelers, rematch of Week 15 last year in Pittsburgh. Same week, same spot, same kickoff time. And do we feel any differently about the Steelers' ability to handle situational football after the way they bungled that selection of plays that they made when they had a chance to win the game last year after the reversal of the Jesse James touchdown?
No, I don't feel any better about their ability to handle situational football. We saw them bungle the Denver Broncos game a few weeks ago with the RPO on the 1-yard line. They, too, have dominated football teams the last few weeks and found ways to lose the game. I think they match up very well with the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots is not the old, we want to spread the field out and, dink and dunk and let Brady be surgical and pick apart your zone defense. The Steelers, their defense is better than years past. They're a little more diverse in their coverages, Mike, and their disguises, and they can play a little man-to-man when they need to. But New England wants to run the ball with 2 backs in the backfield and play that type of game. I think that's going to be tough to do against Pittsburgh. And I do think Pittsburgh is going to be able to move the ball on New England. I'm picking New England. I mean, not New England, sorry, Pittsburgh in a close one, oddly enough. I just think they're desperate. They're sick of hearing about the Patriots, and I think of all years, this is their best chance. I think they really match up well. I'm going to say like 27-24 Steelers. That sounds crazy, but I'm doing it.
Well, look, I would have agreed with you, but for the fact that the Patriots are coming into this one after that embarrassment that they had.
Right.
Real quickly, Sunday Night Football, Eagles, Rams. Do you have any faith in Nick Foles whatsoever to upset an LA team that is desperate to win?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't care if it was Wentz, Foles, or Superman. They're in deep crap, okay?
There's your
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.